Welcome to Women and Resistance, a powerful podcast where we honor the courage, resilience, and revolutionary spirits of women across the globe. Hosted by Aya Fubara Eneli Esquire and Adesoji Iginla, we uncover untold stories of defiance against systemic oppression, whether colonialism, racism, sexism, or economic injustice. From historic icons like Winnie Mandela and Fannie Lou Hamer to today's trailblazers, we shine a light upon those shaping a more just world. This is a call to honor the past, embrace the present, and build an empowered future. Yes, greetings, and welcome to another episode of Women and Resistance. This is the podcast where we honor Black women because we know history often and sometimes tries to deny the truth. We continue this quest of remembering Black women by honoring Celia Cruz, known as the Queen of Salsa. But I will stop there. Welcome, Miss Cruz.
Thank you. My English is not so good looking, but my representative is going to make sure you understand what I have to say to you today.
Okay, welcome. And so you give us a number of quotes, one of which is, "All my life I have sung happy music. I don't like to sing anything sad. Of course, I have happy moments, and those moments are just for me, for my inner life. I don't want to bring that to the public." So help us understand who Celia Cruz is.
Well, it took me a long time to write my biography. And although I was, as you say, a very public figure, very well known, some people say Queen of Salsa, some people say La Guachera de Cuba. My personal life was personal, was private. I was a very private person. But I also understood that when I die, if I don't tell my story, other people will tell it. People think they know something and they tell it, but it's what they think they know or what they want to tell that might not necessarily be the truth about me.
Okay.
So finally, I decided to work with someone and to tell my story. So thank you, gracias, this opportunity to speak today, although I'm sure many of you have already heard of me, but maybe know my music. But as you said, people see the smile, and I've always had a lot of joy. But there's a lot more to the story.
Okay.
So I will start with my birth. I had two mothers. My name is Ursula Hilaria Celia Caridad Cruz Alfonso. And my mother, Catalina, my Olita, that is my biological mother. But I also had my tia. My tia had a baby when my mother was pregnant with me. And that baby died. And my mother and my tia lived maybe about 200 kilometers apart in Cuba. And nobody could get my tia to give up the baby so they could bury the baby. My tia just holding on to the baby until my mother got there, pregnant with me. And my mother, my Olita, she talked to my tia and she said, this child will come back to you. Told her in her ear, if you put a mark on this child, you will see and you will know her when she comes back to you. And so when they had, my tia finally gave up the baby and they got the baby ready for burial. And my tia is looking in the coffin over the baby. And to the surprise and shock of everybody, my tia takes the baby's fingers the two pinky fingers and push it back hard, so hard the finger break, snap. Everybody shocked that she would do something like that. When my mother had, when a baby is born, they put their hand together, their finger together,
Clenched.
like a fist. So initially nobody noticed, but after, when my mother examining and opened my hand, my two pinky fingers twisted, and my tia was with my mother, helping my mother after I was born. And that is the story of my birth. My birth, both joy and out of sorrow of my aunt, my tia. And I had two mothers because I was the child of my mother and I was the child who returned of my tia.
Yeah, okay.
I was born in a small house on Serrano Street in the Santos Suarez neighborhood of Havana. If I close my eye, I can see it. We were a working class family, a community. We were Black. We were poor. We were very spiritual, very spiritual. And you had a number of faiths coexisting. So we were Catholic, very devout Catholic. But like the woman right next to us, Santarel, and I would sometimes, although my mother and my father did not like it, I would sit and I would listen to the Lukima and listen to the drums. But my mother, Catalina, she sang all the time. We did not have much, but we had music. She sang while cooking, while washing, while holding grief in her chest, because after me, two of my mother's children died. She sang even just the hope in her. Singing was not entertainment, just entertainment. Singing was medicine. Singing was memory. Singing was how women survived loss without collapsing under it. So my beginning, Celia Cruz, all the dry. You like my hair? You like my hair?
Yeah. It's very colorful.
I came into this world wrapped in prayer and drama, marked with loss and mystery. My tia Anna, so intertwined in my faith. In fact, when you see me on the stage, you see both my mothers. You see my mother, Catalina, and the singing. And in my movement, you see my tia Anna. Because my tia Anna said, why you just stand like a stick and sing? God gave you a gift. But the gift, you have to let it move through you. And let the people feel it. Movement, the music has to flow.
Mm.
And so when you see me, and my career was very long with any generation, let the music move you. Doesn't matter whether you even understand the words. We are a people who believe in fate, believe in destiny. In my life, I believe that destiny is not going to force itself on you. Destiny is going to show itself, whisper to you, and then see if you have the courage to answer. When people see me now, they don't believe that as a child, I was shy. Yes. Painfully shy. I sang, but like this, and I had this beautiful contralto voice, but only if you ask. Otherwise, I just...
Pause.
My father, he worked so hard. He used to work on the train, shoveling the coal into the furnace, work a lot of long hours. And my father, very devout Catholic, my father wanted all his children. He didn't show a lot of amor, love, but provide the best he could. And he wanted his children to be good children and to get an education. And I loved school. I believed education was my path. For a woman, a negra, a Black woman like me, with my nose, music was not an option. My goal was to become a teacher. That was an honorable profession, make some money to help my family. And more especially to make my father proud. A career like education also gives you some stability, you know? So that was what I was thinking. Music? Let me tell you a story. I had some younger sibling, how you say it?
Yeah.
Brother and sister.
Siblings.
And it was my job to give them a bath, to put them to sleep every night. And so what I would do is I would sing to them like my mother used to sing. But my mother would sing and it'd be a very soothing voice and we would go to sleep. But my voice, this contralto voice, the more I sing, the more their eyes just open. But then something wonders was happening. Because when I start to sing for them to go to bed, the neighbors will come and stand by the door and be listening. We will leave the door and the windows open. You had bars on the window for protection, but you leave the window open for some breeze to come in. And they will stand and listen. My God. And my tia Anna says, you have a gift. You have to use it. You have a gift. And so in school, I only sing if they ask me to sing. And then one time, my parents, some friends came to visit and my mother said, come and sing for them. And I sang and they really liked it.
Mm.
And the next time they came, they brought me a pair of patent white leather shoes. So fancy. That began my love affair with fashion. Fashion! Always. Have to look good. And my other cousin now in Cuba, they used to do a lot of competitions.
Okay.
Where you could go on the radio and you sing.
Singing
and you could win. If you win, like one time I won a cake. It was the most delicious. I can taste that cake now. It covered with white, it looked like white lace. Me and my cousin, we held that cake so carefully till we got to the house and everybody ate that cake. It was so good. So good. And I started to enter more and more of those competitions. And soon I was, singing, doing some things on the radio. But I was still going to school to be a teacher.
Sure. Okay.
And one day, one of my teachers came up to me, respected her a lot. And she said, I said to her, what do I have to do so I can really get a good career as a teacher? And she looked at me and she said, Celia, no, you have a gift. You need to use that gift in the world.
Mm.
And you will make, one day, more than I will make in a whole month teaching. I was very shocked by that because I respected her as a teacher. And I said, but if she says I can do this, but there was one problem. It was a big problem.
Which was?
The big problem. My father, all the times that I would win those competitions, my father
did not participate in the celebrations.
My father didn't have any good thing to say. They only register his displeasure. And I wanted my father to be proud of me. But later I found out what the problem was. See, many young girls coming into this music industry, they feel like they have to do some things to get the attention of the people who can open some doors for you. My father, on that train where he worked, he would hear the other men talk about, after work, they're going to the bar. These women sing there at night, and these women are also like prostitutes. And he did not want his daughter
to go
like a prostitute.
Yeah. You are listening to Women and Resistance with Aya Fubara Eneli Esquire and Adesoji Iginla, where we honor the voices of women who have shaped history through courage and defiance. If you're finding these stories inspiring, Take a moment to subscribe, share, and support this platform. Together, we amplify the voices that deserve to be heard. Now, back to the conversation.
And I told my father, you raised a good girl. I'm a good girl. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm a good girl. And many doors started to open for me. And then finally, one time, when I joined, I didn't join per se in the sense of joining them, but it was a major orchestra and very well known across Cuba and even in Mexico. They asked me to be their lead singer. And then the newspaper wrote about it. But the way they wrote about me, they wrote with such respect for me. And when my father read it and he saw the respect they had for me, he now believed that I'm
It
not
came around to
doing anything. Yes. But music would not leave me alone. So I even tried to take piano lesson, but my nails were so long. My teacher said, you have to cut the nails. I said, no, I won't cut it. And I did not like my piano teacher. And I left that piano teacher. But my tia, Anna, paid for me to get piano lesson. And that's one of my regrets. I wish I had learned better the piano, but I played the claves. You have to go look at it's almost like a flute.
a little flute, yeah.
Made of wood. Yeah, yes. I listen to everything. Son, rumba, bolero, Afro-Cuban trance, Lukumi rhythms. My mother was so afraid when I would do that, but I was fascinated by all of it. I absorbed everything. When I saw women performing publicly, I watched carefully. Paulina Alvarez, I watched her stand on stage. I saw how she commanded the rhythm. I saw how she controlled the stage, even though at that time, very few women had that opportunity. She showed me something radical. That a woman could lead sound. A woman could be the center. Something cracked open inside me. If she can do it,
So can you.
Maybe I can. So I'm doing all these radio singing contests. Sometimes I won, sometimes I didn't win. But I will tell you something. When the world hears your voice, it's hard to forget. And once you hear yourself through the ears of the world, you cannot pretend you are ordinary anymore. No, but I still was planning for safety until Sonora Matancera. That is when I realized I can do this music thing. See, they did not want a black woman, but they wanted my voice. They did not want someone who looks like me to stand at the front of one of the most powerful orchestras in Cuba. But they needed my voice. And you know what? I needed to take that risk. And when I stepped into that role, I tell you, everything changed. I was visible. But let me tell you what comes with visibility. Do you know?
What does?
Criticism. I wasn't just Celia the Negra. Now I was a symbol. And symbols are dangerous to those who fear change.
Correct.
Men questioned my authority. What is with you and these men? Audiences questioned my presence. The industry questioned my longevity. For any of you, my daughters, my sons who are listening to this, I did not have any biological children. But any of you who are following the music in your spirit, following the path that you know you are called to, but you are feeling resistance. You are feeling the sting of criticism. Let me take off my glasses so you can look in my eyes when I tell you this. You know how you answer that?
Tell us.
You answer with discipline. You answer with power, with consistency, and with a joy so loud it can't be ignored. Now that came later, but before that came the revolution. With the revolution became exile. One day you are celebrated, the next day you are erased. I'm not the first. I won't be the last. And I smile because the spirit lives on. And our joy has to be unquenchable, even in exile. Cuba, with the band, with the orchestra, I did not leave and say goodbye thinking that was my last time to see my loved ones. I did not leave with a lingering look at the house that I would never see again. I did not know. I did not know. I did not know I would not return to even bury my mother. I did not know that when I left Cuba that day, I would never step foot on my homeland again. But Cuba never left me. Cuba right here. Cuba in the memory. Cuba in the blood. Cuba in every song. Cuba in the joy, the resilience, the resolve. That pain of exile, it never healed. Because you see, exile does not just take you home. It tests your identity. Who are you without your land? Without language, without familiarity, who are you? I am my voice. I am the Queen of Salsa, right?
Yeah.
And my voice will carry Cuba wherever I go, and I went far. My exile did not arrive with ceremony. It came quietly. Castro and his people said, you must do what we say you must. Perform where we say you should perform. And I said, no. Will not be a tool. Will not be beholden to you. Don't forget, now I'm a big woman. Back then, I was a skinny negra. But you have to know what you stand for.
True. Or you fall for anything.
Cuba believing I would return, I packed lightly. I did not say goodbye the way you say goodbye forever. I was declared an exile without my consent. The people running my country chose silence over my voice because their revolution demanded my obedience. But I, Celia Cruz, I had already chosen freedom. I did not make speeches. I did not raise my fist. I did something that was more unforgivable. I refused to belong to anyone but myself. And that refusal cost me everything familiar. Have you ever been displaced? You see, when people come to your country, come to your city, you think that it's a fun time? Have you ever been displaced? Have you ever been a foreigner? Here I am, a black woman with an accent, as if everybody don't have accents. Just because your accent different from my accent. A woman, a black woman whose rhythms confuse the American ears. And my Spanish unsettled even the Spanish speaking is like, what is it different? I did not fit anywhere. But let me tell you what I learned. Something I learned in Cuba that exile could not take from me. That discipline, that work ethic, that respect for the craft. I did not expect anybody to hand me anything. I didn't expect them to open doors for me. I knocked, I waited, I knocked again, and I sang wherever they would let me sing. Small stages, big stages, television sets where the cameras barely knew where to place me, at clubs, wherever I could. I learned that rhythm and my joy can translate faster than language. That joy crosses borders without a passport. But let me tell you this, joy does not erase struggle. I was often told, you know what they would say to me? Can you be less loud? Why? I wear orange hair, red hair, blue hair, pink hair, any kind of hair I wear. You people talking about, what are these people now today? Nicki Minaj, Cardi B. Before them, Celia Cruz. They said, be less African. I am Afro-Cuban. They said, be less Cuban. Be less me. They wanted the flavor without the fire. You want this food without the spice. You want my rhythm without the roots. How is that possible? This is mi azúcar. I refused. I was going to survive this exile, and I was going to do it without shrinking. I was not going to become what you wanted me to become. I was going to be myself. That is when I learned to dress the way I did.
Flamboyant.
People think the wigs and the color and all of that were vanity. They were not. They were armor. They were declaration. They were a refusal to fade into invisibility. Can you not see me? Can you not see me?
Very much
Can you
so.
miss me?
No, very much so. I can.
You cannot miss me. You cannot miss me. They wanted me to make background music. I made myself impossible to ignore. And you know something that really helped me? The love of my life, Pedro. I met Pedro in Havana. Pedro played. He was a musician as well with the Sonora. And Pedro and I fell in love. Pedro was the only man I was ever with, the love of my life. We did not have children, but we did everything together. People will see me loud like this and they think, oh, she must go to parties, she must go. No, I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't go to the parties. When I finish whatever I need to do on stage, greeting people, out of that, I go quietly back to my place. Sometimes I will visit with some friends, but very select friends, because some other people, when they invite you, then they invite a lot of people so that they can show that they know you. I did not like that. So me and Pedro, we kept a very small circle. But salsa, salsa came into salsa was not just music. Salsa was migration. Salsa was memory. Salsa was Caribbean survival colliding with New York urgency. It was black and brown people stitching their histories together through sound. When I stepped into salsa, I stepped into a movement. And then here they come again. You're too old. You're too female. You're too much. Do I look like I care? Guess what? I outlasted them all of them. I sang with Tito Puente, a brother in rhythm and discipline. I sang with Willie Colon, who understood that the rebellion could wear a suit. I sang with Johnny Pacheco and the Fania family, who also understood that salsa was not entertainment. Let me tell you something. Black music, salsa was testimony. I stood on stages dominated by men and I did not ask permission to lead. Now, don't misunderstand. There were times before I got married and sometimes I would never travel as a single man. Sometimes I would travel with my cousin, Nanita. And we knew once we enter into that hotel room, we push the
against the door.
Against the door. Even sometimes maybe you push the whole bed against the door. Nobody was getting into that room. One time when I was traveling with the Sonora, this army general, he was determined that he, I guess, was going to have his way. But I so appreciated the men that I played with. You know what? When they noticed he would not leave me alone, all 9 of them, the whole orchestra just came out, stood around me, and looked at him. He got the message and left. But I did not let any of this intimidation prevent me from taking my rightful place on any stage. See, I understood that people like Paulina, women like Paulina, had opened the doors for women like me. And that I too, as I stood in my authority without apology, I would be opening doors for other younger women who were studying me the way I used to study other women. And so for all those young women, for all of you even middle-aged women, for even those of you older women like me who are saying, I don't know, can I?
Should I?
Of course you should. Let me tell you what I did. I didn't slink away and hide when I started to get old. Did you see? Hold on. Their wrinkles, their lifelines. I refused to disappear when youth was no longer my currency. So I don't have the small waist that I used to have. And I am a matured woman. I let my voice deepen instead of retreating. Do I have to sound like I'm 20 when I'm 60? Aging as a woman in this industry is a whole battle. These people wanted me frozen in time. Forever young. Forever nostalgic. What? Now I see this when you caught to do this. I'm not judging anybody. Do what makes you happy. But for me, this is Celia. And my gift is my voice and this smile. And I share it. I chose evolution. I chose not to stay frozen in time. I collaborated. I adapted. I honored tradition without becoming its prisoner. I let my voice carry history, not dust. You know what happened with Azuka? You know how that, and I get on stage and say, Azuka! And everybody clap and they're happy. Let me tell you, I was at the restaurant and they were serving us some coffee. And they came and they said, would you like some sugar or would you like it plain? And I said, and the whole restaurant burst out laughing. And that became my thing. But you know what? Even those who clap and repeat it don't always understand it. See, sugar was the blood of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
You know that? Sugar was the prophet built on black bodies. Sugar was sweetness extracted through brutality.
Wow.
When I shout, Azúcar, I reclaimed it, transforming painful part of our history into power, turning memory into celebration, because we endured with our music and we live on in spite of. We find the sweetness in life. No matter how much, what is that song in America they sing? The bitter rod? No matter the bitterness of the rod, we find the sweetness in life. You know, people call me happy all the time. I know you might have questions. Let me tell you this story real quickly. So I had an interview to do. And the one thing of many things that people knew about me in the industry, I was never late. Pedro always early. Me, I was never late. Our word was our bond. If I say I'm going to be here at a certain time, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be there with my joy. And so I had an interview set up, and the person interviewing me ended up being the one who I collaborated with on my biography, my autobiography. And she said, in the autobiography, she was very surprised that I was late because everybody knew Celia Cruz always
on time.
I believe your time is important. My time is important. And so I showed up for the interview hours late. They waited for me. And when I came, they showed me where I needed to change. Small, no air conditioning, I just smiled. My assistant helped me. It was a magazine interview and photo shoot. I changed into 4 different outfits. The whole thing took more than 4 hours, and then dinner afterwards. I did all of it. In the middle of that interview, I did not know. Omar went. He's one of the young men who works with me. Like a son to me. As I was getting changed, he went to the lady who was interviewing me and he said to her, please be gentle with Mama Celia. The reason she was late is because she had a medical issue. She was in the hospital. In fact, she has to be back at 6 a.m. in the morning because they are going to operate on her. But she did not want to cancel her appointment with you. So although she's very sick,
You're still consistent.
Kept her word to come. And when she heard this about me, I did not know that she had heard. When she heard it, she writes that she was overwhelmed. She could not believe it. Because the whole time, I was still smiling. I did not complain. I did not rush them. I did everything because I am Celia Cruz. So people call me happy all the time. They mistook my joy for ease. They did not see the discipline behind the laughter or the grief behind the rhythm or even the loneliness for my homeland, for my people. Behind the applause, I missed my mother every day. I missed the smell of my childhood. I missed the way Cuba breathed. And I knew I would never see it again. But I also knew that if I could not return home, I would create a home for those displaced, for those unheard, for those who were told that their voices would not matter. So I sang louder. I sang louder. I sang louder. I was bolder in an industry where if they didn't want a Black woman, and if you were a Black woman, they wanted you to be light-skinned, they wanted to lighter skin. I went into all those spaces. I was an immigrant in a country that loved my music but questioned my belonging. Every time I stepped on the stage, my body spoke before my mouth opened, and I let it speak boldly. I moved the way I wanted to. I dressed the way I chose. I laughed the way I felt. And I refused to police myself for the comfort of other people. That freedom unsettled people. Because when a Black woman claims joy without permission, it exposes the lies built around limitation. Claim your joy, my sisters. Claim your joy. I did not pretend that the road was easy. I simply refused to let the difficulty define me, steal my joy. When illness came, towards the end of my life, I actually collapsed on stage. I was battling breast cancer, and then I collapsed on stage, and they found out that I had brain cancer. That did not stop me. I that was in December of 2000, and finished recording my album in February of 2003. I went to the Grammys. I received my Grammy award, and I died at age 77 in July 2003. Very quickly. And then any questions that you may have that I might answer or not answer, depending on, you can make me sad. I did not ask to be strong, but I was required to be. People sometimes think that strength is something you choose. They think it's like a personality trait. Or some people are just born strong. Strength is something that is demanded of you when the world refuses to carry you gently, and you have to make that decision. Are you going to be broken by the world, or are you going to just build yourself up, strengthen yourself, and live? I did not wake up one day and say, I'm going to resist, I'm going to be resilient, all of that. No, life placed that weight on my shoulders and said, carry this or disappear. I said, I'm going to carry it. I'm not giving them that satisfaction of disappearing. Aging for me is an accumulation. It's a memory layered on memory. It's a pain distilled into wisdom. It is joy refined. And for a woman like me, a Black woman, a negra like me, aging publicly is a radical act. Because the world teaches women that we have an expiration date, that beauty fades, that relevance expires, and that as a woman, when you're young, you be quiet. When you get older, definitely fade into the background. The older I got, the brighter my colors got. I stayed working, I stayed visible, I stayed speaking through my music. That's what I did. My recognition came late. That is another truth that people need to know. You gotta do what you need to do and what you love to do, regardless of whether you're recognized or not. When you're a woman, when you're Black, when you're an immigrant, when you don't speak the quote-unquote dominant language, when your work does not belong clearly into one category, the world might never give you praise, but if it does, it's certainly going to delay it. My audience crowned me long before the industry did. The streets knew my name before the halls of power did. And then eventually the Grammys came, and the Lifetime Achievement Awards, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. They placed it around my neck and smiled. It wasn't just about me. It was about the lineage of Black women that I come from. It was about my homeland, Cuba. What else can I say to you today? There's so much, obviously, that you can go and find out about me. Appeared on Cuban television, Mexican television during my exile years. I was a frequent guest on Univision and Telemundo music and award shows. I appeared on The Tonight Show, The Late Night with David Letterman, even Sesame Street. They're very funny. You can still find it. I've been the subject of multiple international documentaries and televised tributes. I recorded more than 70 studio albums, sold in excess of 30 million records, yes. But through it all, what mattered to me very deeply was my faith and the fact that this life that I got to live was not just one that was destined for me, but it was a destiny I had to embrace. And when I left this world, the people did not mourn me softly. They celebrated me. 500,000 people stood in line for hours, not in silence, but in song. In Miami, in New York, across the diaspora, across generations, they danced, they cried, they shouted, Azúcar! Back into the sky. This is how resistance sounds when it survives. I did not belong to one country when I died. I belonged to many. I belong to everyone who had ever been displaced, like my sister Miriam Makeba, like my sister Winnie Mandela, so many of us who have been displaced and exiled. And I want to tell you this. If you are listening to me now, I am not a memory. I know I told you I died quite a few years ago. Every time you choose joy in this hostile world, every time you put some sugar in your coffee or your tea, every time you refuse to shrink, every time you carry your culture without apology, every time you put that thing on and people go, who do they think they are? Every time you age without disappearing, you are continuing my song. Because I am La Guarachera de Cuba. I am the Queen of Salsa. I am joy. I am Celia Cruz.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to pose a question to you, but you answered it in the last part, which is, with you going into exile, which country would you have looked to? But you immediately said you belong to no country, you claim all of it. So that sort of underscored that point. There is one part I would like you to touch on before you leave, which is, you remember when you were saying you were training to be a teacher, but your teacher told you your role is something else.
Now, be careful. I'm an old woman. You want me to remember? Remember what?
Okay. I remember when you were training to be a teacher and your
Yeah.
teacher then advised you that instead of focusing on a teaching practice, why don't you live up to your promise by embracing your gifts? How does that translate into the lives that kids, adults, like you said, not discriminating on age? How do people know that this is their path and they should follow it? Sometimes they don't get that push. You got that push, but some people don't. So how do they get the fortitude to pursue said dreams?
And everybody's path is different. But like I told you, there were many signs. People standing at the door of your house just to hear you sing. People putting you in for competitions that you didn't even think that you should. Your parents saying, oh, sing, and someone being so impressed with your singing, they give you these patent leather shoes. So there were a lot of different things that showed it wasn't just a dream that I had a gift. I had a talent. I had a proclivity. Now, you still have to have the discipline to develop your craft.
Consistency as well.
And so I think for the young people, pay attention to the things that you do that, one, bring you joy, that you have a proclivity to do. It comes naturally, maybe. That doesn't mean you don't have to perfect it, but it's something that feels innate. Now, you don't have to wait for someone to give you permission to do it. You can observe for yourself, because sometimes we're not in situations where people are going to really support us, but you want to pay attention to what interests you and what you naturally tend to lean towards. So I loved to listen to music. I was drawn to it.
Okay.
I dreamt about music. So listen to yourself, pay attention to yourself, and then whatever that thing is, you must be committed to work towards it. But realize I was willing to work towards something else, even though I had not abandoned music. And it was as I was also pursuing that dream of being a teacher, but still learning my craft, which I didn't know would be a career, but continuing to do this other thing, this music that I loved, that eventually some doors opened up for me. And then this teacher, if I had not continued showcasing my musical gift, that teacher may never have seen it to know that I had it, to encourage me in the way she did. So you also have a responsibility to nurture your own gift, your own self. I hope that is helpful. But I know that young people struggle with that, especially now where everybody says, find something stable, find a good paying job, a good paying career. And still, most parents are not interested in their children going into this industry. But I would tell the young girls, you do not have to, and boys, you do not have to lie on anybody's couch to get ahead in any industry.
Excellent words.
Let your talent.
Thank you, Miss Cruz. Thank you. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's episode of Women in Resistance. As is customary, next week we're going to be listening to the voice from the South, Anna Julia Cooper. And the week after would be a year that Women and Resistance have started. That one would be a special episode. We're looking for at least 4 people to come in, sit with us, tell us what it is about Women and Resistance they buy into, what they would like to see, the host of people we've talked about that they found, motivating, enchanting, some, and also get to, we get to share how we come up with the names, who we talk about, what we decide is kosher enough for people to hear, and as it were. So that's the week of February the 5th or the 6th. So it's February the 5th. And that's the 1-year anniversary of Women and Resistance. And so for people who would like to join us, you could drop me an email do I have my email address here? So that's the email address there. If you send me an email address, we would put you down and send you the link as at when by February the 4th for the February the 5th recording. Live, rather.
So are all the women you've talked to going to be there to talk to them on this 1-year anniversary?
We are going to try and do something that would help bring them all. I mean, they all have themes, and people will have noticed a pattern that there are certain themes with regards to women who fought wars, entertainers, writers, poets, journalists. Writers, the score. So you come in and just let's have a chat about all of them. So we're talking about 48 women now. That's a lot of women to cover. So until next week. Miss Cruz, any final thoughts?
Just, I love you all. I really do. Don't ever let your joy die. Don't ever let your joy die. And don't ever shrink. Because your shrinking never accomplishes anything.
Okay.
And thank you. Thank you for all the love. I see all the love. Thank you for the love. And keep playing that music.
Yeah.
Keep playing the music.
Yeah. She will say, what's your chant again?
Sukkah.
That's on that very happy note, we shall say good night and God bless. That is it for this episode of Women and Resistance. Thank you for joining us in amplifying the voices of women who challenged injustice and changed the course of history. Be sure to subscribe, share, and continue the conversation. Together, remember, we honor the past, act in the present, and shape the future. Until next time, stay inspired and stay in resistance.